Life talks with Trosa. We definitely outside. We went somewhere. And definitely taking a little detoxification from people and too much Instagram. Like when Jay-Z said he off Twitter because that shit could get addicting. I gotta get off Instagram a little bit because it could get addicting. There's a lot of beautiful people out there. There's a lot of creative people out there, and there's just a lot of information. Sometimes you want to give your brain the opportunity to not refresh, but just to take in all the information that you've been taking in, right? Have you sit with the information that you've been studying, preaching, downloading, writing down, right? A lot of people want to start writing books. A lot of people want to not just stay in their imagination and keep that imagination, propagandized or programmed. Like a lot of people don't want to have that programmed type of imagination anymore. And I just been, for years, just showing people focus on and the person that you can be is you. But like while I'm taking my break, I'm also, I'm getting some honey and the king bees, right? I'm getting that information. I'm listening to the voice of a woman. Well, I'm listening to the voices of, spiritually guided women, right? I remember talking about when the woman realizes her power, then she's gonna start giving out, orders and commands. And that's what's happening right now. And I'm witnessing, you know, not a not just a decree, but prophecy, something that I foretold. Now I'm still doing that love thing, but I'm using that love energy and adding it to my imaginative energy. Yeah, because my imagination is extraordinary. I have the greatest imagination in all existence. So I'm going to teach people how to imagine. I'm going to be campaigning, so to speak, for imagination. And I'm going to be doing it while I'm just doing me, right? I'm out here, just left the gym, enjoying the gym, I just left. Now I'm just outside, just sitting in the seating areas, you know, sipping my coffee, getting my getting my mind straight. Nah, I'm not getting my mind straight. I'm getting my mind in that spiral so that I can spiral up and I can continue to, you know, have my mentees on that level where not only do they feel like they could teach me, all in all, I'm being taught by everybody that I'm teaching. That's why you know, I needed to get some honey. I needed to get some love from the honeybees. The beekeeper protects the hive, but the bees, they take care of the beekeeper. So y'all been taking care of me while I'm out here on the front line, taking care of y'all. We taking care of each other. Like I said, we working together apart. I was watching the rain yesterday. It's so peaceful, just watching the rain. And I was looking up. I remember years ago when I was looking up while it was raining and the rain was just hitting my eyes. And I asked my father, how come you can't see the rain until it like, hits the floor? I forgot what he said, but I wrote down yesterday, the rain is invisible like the air is. You can only see it when it's, mixed with something else, or you're looking at it through a reflection of something. Like you can't see the rain looking up to the sky. You can see the rain when you look straight ahead, or when it's like so so much rain that it gets foggy and you can't really see too far. But even when it is raining and like you're outside looking at the rain, if you're not looking at something like a building or something or a tree, you won't be able to see the rain until it hits you or until it hits the floor. You'll know it's raining. You just know that it's raining, but you can't look up and see the rain falling, but you know it's falling. You can't look around and see the wind blowing until it's a tornado or a hurricane, or you see the leaves, or you see the trees or the branches, or you see somebody's hair blowing. That's when you know it's breeze. That's when you know it's windy, but you know it's there. You know that it is air. You know that there is oxygen. And that was just a peaceful moment for me. Just enjoying the rain, enjoying that moment, enjoying that moment where everything just gets clean. Everything just gets washed away. You could feel like, whatever bad that was going on, whatever negative energy that's around, when the rain comes, you could just picture all that stuff just being washed away. Put on some good positive music while it's raining and just enjoy that, you know? Or you can even take a little nap, right? I suggest you nap sitting down so you don't go to sleep and stay there the whole 8 hours. Just sit down in the chair, someplace comfortable, lean your head back, and just go. Take a little nap. And that's when everything starts prospering because you'll be in peace. I ain't gonna be on here much longer. I got a couple things to do today anyway. But you'll be in peace. And peace, that's prosperity. That's when nothing prospers in chaos except chaos. Things prosper in peace when it's left alone. When it not just when it's left alone, but when it's properly taken care of and it's in that place where it can be peaceful, where it can thrive in its environment. And I feel like I'm in my environment again. Yeah. But you gotta protect that peace that you're cultivating. Because the only way that you can get prosperous is when you get peaceful. And when you get peaceful, that's when you accumulated enough knowledge to know how to be peaceful and how to be in your own peace. And in order to get that knowledge, you got to humble yourself. And in order to humble yourself, you got to have discipline. And in order to have discipline, you got to be taught lessons. And in order to be taught lessons, you got to live life. And in order to live life, you got to do shit. You got to go, even if you're not a daredevil, you got to tell yourself that you're a daredevil and do shit that makes you nervous. Every day. I remember telling y'all, every day you got to do something that makes you nervous. You got to do one thing each day that makes you nervous, and then you'll be able to do everything that makes you nervous until the only thing you do is what makes you nervous. And you'll realize that that's really you. The you that you're trying to hide from the world. And the world does not care about the you that you're trying to hide. The world doesn't care about what you got going on with your personal shit, what you got going on with your personal issues or your goals or your aspirations or what you got written in your journal or what books you're trying to publish or what historic lesson you're trying to teach or what biological lessons you're trying to get everybody to understand or who is who or what is what or who gets credit for what. Nobody cares. So that's why you got to just do whatever you want to do. And as long as it's what you want to do, don't let nobody stop you. Because as soon as you're ready to do what you want to do, that's when the world tries to stop you. Because the world doesn't want you to be free from the world. The world wants you to be caught up in everything and everybody's problems and everybody's issues. That's why it's like, when you get that moment to enjoy silence, you should really enjoy silence, because the world is a noisy place and a lot of people can't stand silence. They can't just let the time pass where there's nothing being said. They can't let the time pass where it's just silence and it's just quiet and peace. They can't go into their head because there's nothing going on up there. And when there's nothing going on in your head, when there's nothing going on in your head, the only thing that is happening at that moment when there's nothing going on in your head is other people's shit, is other issues and outside stuff and outside things. And they say the idle mind is the devil's playground. So all that bullshit starts playing around in your head. When you're not in your head, something else is in there. Because I promise you, you're already listening to something, because the world is a noisy place. So when you find that moment where you can have peace, you got to enjoy that moment, and you got to protect that moment, because that moment right there is gonna allow you to get to the other moment, and that moment is gonna allow you to love yourself in a way that you didn't love yourself before, because you were able to find peace. And then once you found that peace, you were able to enjoy yourself. So you're gonna start getting, greedy with your peace. And when you start getting greedy with your peace, that's when things start prospering, right? God don't help people that keep asking for help. God helps people that says, no, I don't need help. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a way to get it done, right? Even if it's a moment where you need help and you need assistance, and you're not just used to people letting you down, but you're used to people also saying no, and people also asking you for help, while letting you do the majority of the work, and they just do the little shit. So basically they wanted to have you do something for them that they didn't want to do for themselves, that they could do for themselves. Things that people can do for themselves, but they're just not able to do it for themselves. Because they aren't able to do it for themselves, they try to have everybody else do it for them. And then once it's not done to their liking, then they try to make people feel they try to make people feel lesser than. They try to belittle people. They try to make them feel like they aren't enough. But what they aren't enough is what somebody else wants out of them. But what they are to them is enough, right? You might be enough to you, but then you try to do something for somebody else and it will never be enough. That's why I told y'all in 2022, right? No matter how much you do for somebody, it'll never be enough. You could do everything. You could do everything for someone and it would still not be enough. And that's what helped me get to the point where you can have enough and that'll be everything. And you can have everything and it still wouldn't be enough. So I'm gonna just leave y'all there with that. You can have everything and it not be enough. But you can have enough and it could be everything. So you might be everything to you, but what you're doing for someone else may not ever be enough. So you need to focus on you and do for you and cultivate that peace so you can then prosper. Because if you leave a plant or a flower or a garden in peace, and you just provide that garden with water and allow it to be in the sun, that garden is going to prosper. So allow yourself the water and the sunlight so you can prosper. And that's the way you get there.